Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, CesarRespino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Your host, CesarRespino, and today I am excited to have our guest, and I want to give you a little bit of his background before I introduce you to him. He is an entrepreneur at the field of international education, a pharmacist, and now a company owner of CADC, Career and Academy Development Center for Studying Abroad. Hossam got the NESA UGRAD Scholarship from the State of Department 2011. Then he got an internship in Germany, then another internship in Serbia. Finally, Hossam got the highest French scholarship from the French government, EIFFEL Excellence, to study at the Sorbonne University. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Hossam Shahin.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. It's a great to see you and to be here.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's super excited to have you here. So, before we dive into that, tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Where are you originally from, and how was that for you?
Actually, I'm originally from Egypt. I was coming from a very little city in the middle, of the delta between Cairo and Alexandria. And I was a bit lucky with my family. I had the really great parents that they dedicated their time, their money, their resources to give me and my siblings a best education. And that's how it started my journey to be able, to have better future. And
Mm-hmm.
the studying abroad started when I joined the American school, and I went to the American school, which has some connections with the American embassy in Egypt. And the journey of exploring global opportunities has started to learn more about studying abroad, the scholarships, the exchange program, etc. And then I started from there. Then I joined Faculty of Pharmacy after the high school. It's very tough school, a bit difficult, a lot of studies, etc. But still, I took some advantages of being, student, and I did some, as you said already in the introduction. Like I went to a program in the United States, and then Germany, Serbia, then Switzerland, and then I did some programs in Italy, Czech Republic, Spain. So it was kind of just, some opportunities, but the origin was because of my parents, that they really dedicated the time and the resources to give us some chances. In a very small city, it was very difficult to be in an international school or to really have good school. And that's why I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, no, that's huge. So tell me a bit more about that, because I think that that's huge, and obviously a lot of people have different upbringings, and there's a lot of different things that can affect that, right? Whether it's the society, whether it's parents, family, friends, the neighborhood that you're born into. A lot of them have a different background, and I do believe that we all have a different path. I also believe, though, that part of that is what you said. You're grateful that your parents were there to support you. That's huge, and that's a big one. The second one, I also believe that it also has to do a lot with you, because I've seen people that were the parents probably did everything they could, and then the person just didn't take the opportunity to be able
Right.
to take advantage of that. And for you, is like being able to go from one place to another in terms of the different schools and things like that. What was going through your mind, even going through that journey yourself?
That's exactly what you said, because you could have a lot of opportunities, but the thing is how you're gonna use those
Mhm.
opportunities, how you're gonna take the maximum advantage of the resources that you have. So my family, they gave me like the seeds, I can say,
Mhm.
but I was a person who is active. I was
Mhm.
following up with the resources. So My family really, because the American school was very expensive in my country, like in Egypt, to be in American school, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, my mom and my father, like, they decided to send us to these type of schools. And then my mom was like, okay, now you can take the advantage, have a good education. Okay, now you can start your own journey. So it was kind of um, checking what's going on with the American embassy. For example, there are some events that they were like, they published about some events, but
Mm-hmm.
I was the one who was following that. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I want to go to that event. I want to talk to the responsible in the embassy. I was going to talk, guys, my name is Hossam, I'm studying that. What are the resources that I can apply for? And then started from there. I remember the first time I met the culture attaché in the American embassy. It was an event, and I talked to her. And then she was like, okay, please give me your email. I want your email. That's my card. I want your email. So I gave her my email, and she sent me the first announcement for the scholarship. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my mom, and my mom was like, oh, that's great. Okay, apply for that. And I remember still that was scholarship was for high school students. And because there was some exams, we had to take what's called SET, and this
Mm-hmm.
exam you cannot change. And I remember one of the selection, like, for the selection process, you need to have some interviews. And one interview was at that middle, like at that day of the exam. And I was like, I cannot do it. The exam is a priority. And I was like, okay, my mom, what about my sister? She can apply for that. Like, Rana can apply for that. And then Rana went to the scholarship. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's how it came. Like, you just take the opportunities. And then after that, I got another program with another scholarship. So it was more digging. I was digging more into the opportunities, trying to apply. It took me a lot of time to sit down, to learn how to write a CV, how to write a motivation letter. We don't learn that in Egypt. We don't have this system. So I was searching a lot, reading a lot, trying to know some people. So like who already traveled before to get their advice, etc. So it's not just about the resources that you have, but how you're gonna use them. Yes, my family gave me opportunities, but I was the one who was digging more and looking forward. Like I was following these resources to get more opportunities and to take the advantage of that. So
Yeah.
that's how it worked.
No, and that's huge. And again, going back to that, the fact that you had that support system is huge. And at the same time, though, it is your responsibility to say, you know what, I want more out of life, or I want to be able to figure out how I can get more out of life, right? And
Yes,
do more of
yes.
that. And oftentimes, again, people unfortunately let the opportunity go to waste because they don't see it in front of them, and or they might see the opportunity, but it's not disguised very nice and in a shiny object, right? And so sometimes we let that opportunity go away because of that. And so that's good that you did that. Now on the flip side, obviously you're in this, and if you've gone through that and you're doing a lot of this now,
True.
what in today's society, and I think it might be the same pretty much all over the world. I would say at least for the average size family, right? Or
Mhm.
the middle income family, if you may, is
Yeah.
where oftentimes the parents, while they might have some good intentions, right? They're so busy with work, or they're so busy doing other things, that the kids or the children do not feel like they have the support system. Or if they do, they feel like their parents don't understand what is needed or required. Right? I know me growing up, my parents were always really busy, and just like you, I had to go after the opportunity. And while I might bring something to my parents, they might say, "Yeah, this makes sense," or "This is good." They didn't have no clue. And so sometimes you feel like you don't have that support system because, again, your parents are so busy working, they're not very involved as they should be, because, again, of work or other obligations, or they just clearly don't understand what is needed. And so,
Yeah.
what would you tell somebody that might be in that position, saying, "Hey, I kind of feel like I want it, but then I get discouraged," or I know my parents mean well, but they're not plugged in. Like, what would you tell that person?
Thank you so much for approaching this point because, again, I was really lucky with my parents. Is exactly what you explained, is exactly what I have been through, but in a different way. My family, I always say that they were like so advanced compared to their time and the
Mm,
environment that they have. because my parents are coming from like the city is very small. They didn't have the same opportunities, and I was really surprised from the adaptability and flexibility and the agility they had in terms of our decisions
Mm.
and the opportunities that we had, me and my siblings. I'm talking about not only me, but also my two sisters and my brother. Because one thing is that my family, they really, really busy with working, but I never felt that they were away from us. They were always there. When you like now, they are deceased, but I have really great memories with them. I remember they were always there with our studying, the trips in the summer, in the weekends. My mom used to come always to visit us in schools. My father was the same, and that's not, in a patriarch community like Egypt, the father usually doesn't have this amazing role. And I always remember my father was always there. He was waking up in the morning, taking us to school, preparing some food for us, like always taking us, even in the vacation. The morning part is always like to visit the museum, the civilization, the history, etc. And all the evening is only fun. We go to restaurants, cafeterias, like parties, etc. So they really were like they succeeded in making a really good balance in being in our lives. The second part is that my father died a bit earlier, so my mom so that my mom really had a great rule in taking the lead after that. And I remember taking us to American school. They faced a lot of issues with the community, like my uncles, my aunts, some people around us. They were like, "Oh, why you have to send them to these big schools? It's very expensive. You have to save the money. Oh, how you gonna leave your daughter to go abroad and be alone? Like we are Egyptians, very conservative. How you gonna leave like your son to go in a very young age to be alone in the United States? Oh, he will really not, he will have really bad like consequences, etc." And they never looked at that. They will always know that's your time. Go, take the advantage, learn, enjoy your life, build your own future. So they were really thinking in a different way. So my only my only advice for parents who are now taking the lead or the decisions in behalf of their children, give them the opportunity, because if you really raised your son very well, so they have the fundamentals. And
Mm.
if your your sons and daughter, they have the fundamentals, don't worry about them. Just leave them alone to take the risk, to enjoy the life. And this is exactly what happened with me. My parents gave me this opportunity. So just leave them, because I remember after like until now, I meet a lot of girls, especially girls. It happens with boys sometimes, but especially with girls. When there is any scholarship opportunity or study abroad or traveling experience, the parents really they prevent. The decision is no, I'm not gonna let you go away. Marry first, and then you do whatever you want, etc. So my only advice is just to let them go, and they will really have great experiences.
Yeah, I like what you said right there, and that's a key element there. If a parent, did their part, right, and they helped and build that foundation, right, the values and the discipline and
Exactly.
being respectful, all these different values that we as people need to have, then definitely, it's like that saying, you need to let your kids go and explore the world and fall a couple of times on their own and be able to get up based on those values and fundamentals that you gave them.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're never going to learn, right? And so I think that's huge and that's a key, because even me, I have a daughter, and I remember a while back, when my daughter was younger, I'm like, I wanted to be like, no, 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 and I realized, she's the one that actually brought it up to me, and she said, like, let me grow, like I'm already that person, and so that's a huge thing for sure, that people need to definitely take on, especially specifically parents.
Yes, exactly.
And so for you, one of the things, obviously, after the death of your parents, that's where you went from a small city in Egypt to this global education, right? And a lot of times people, what they're looking for is in this life, I would say, is how can I get into multiple different places? How can I travel around the world? How can I get
Yes.
to see different places, cultures, and things like that? you've been able to do that through education and being able to study abroad. Again, you mentioned a couple of places: US, France, Germany, Switzerland, Serbia. You've been able to do that through your education. Tell me
True.
about that, because now this is something that, again, maybe a lot of people don't think about it yet. Again, everybody wants to be able to be at a different place, uh,
Mhm.
different cultures, different cities, different countries, whatever that might be. And you did it through education, which is huge. So tell me about that benefit.
To be honest, it was again it was a decision. I decided I want to travel. I want to explore the world in a young age. And I didn't have enough money to travel, on my expenses. And that was like it started there. I was looking for programs for international students who are interested to study abroad, but those programs are sponsored. So I started with the American Embassy. The American Embassy in each country has a lot of programs. I think more than
Hmm.
even 20 programs for everyone, starting from high school to the people who are like at the age of 50 years old. They
Wow.
can go for exchange program for a year, few weeks. There is summer school. There is 6 months or a semester. There is a Fulbright program for master's students. There is a Fulbright program for teachers, for people who have really like technical school, and a lot of people they don't know that. So I was like, okay, like take it easy. Let's see what's up there for students. And I started with the American Embassy. It worked with me and my two sisters. Me and my two sisters, we all traveled on a U.S. Department of State sponsored programs in the different ways. My younger sister, she went to the YES program, to the high school. I went to the NESA grade. That's a year in the college, like at the college, and also the SUSI program for my older sister. She went to a specific program for women leadership. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm sure there would be some opportunities in other countries. And I started to search. What about Germany? And I found this amazing internship in the university in Germany. I applied. I got accepted. And then I searched in another country and in another country. And I realized that in each embassy, in each country, there is what's called exchange programs or
Mm.
global education or study abroad. So each embassy in Egypt, like the American embassy, the French embassy, the Canadian embassy, all these embassies, they have a binational agreement with Egypt in terms of the global education. And these binational agreements are in the form of scholarships or exchange programs or study abroad or summer school. And then I was like, okay, then I will start from there. And I just checked each embassy and the programs that are available there. And that's how I started. Even the French embassy, like the EIFFEL, as you said already in the introduction, the
Mhm.
EIFFEL Excellence, how I would know about the EIFFEL Excellence, it was from the French embassy, an event in the French Institute. I was there, I was studying, I met the culture attaché, and I knew about the EIFFEL Excellence. So my advice for each student, I traveled to almost all these countries for free. I really didn't pay anything. And that's all because of the power of the global education.
Mhm.
Go to each embassy in your country. If you are from Ghana, Nigeria, Colombia, if you are from Mexico, anywhere in the world, check the foreign embassies and the cultural affairs or the office of the global education or the cultural affairs, and you will always find some opportunities for you.
Yeah. Are there any from your experience, there any specific field of interest of education that you need to be in, or is it really open to really anybody? And then
It's open to everyone.
also, okay, got you. And then in terms of like from a global perspective, right? Any specific language that you need to know, like English is one of them that you have to know, globally for you to be able to apply for those places. Got it.
That's a very good question because that's what I face now with a lot of students is the language. For me, because I travel to everywhere, the language that I felt like, my personal experience, that really like you should have this language as your minimum is the English language.
Okay.
Because wherever you are, you can use English, even in France, even in Germany, Sweden, Serbia, whatever. English is a minimum. And I always say to students, you don't need to be an American,
Yeah.
like talker. You don't need to have the accent of American people or British people. The minimum is the communication. When you ask a question, if you are in a session, if you are in a classroom, if you are in an interview, if you will be able to communicate, understand, articulate what you want to say, and receive the message from the other person, and you answer clearly, that is the most important, whatever is your accent. So you really don't put an effort to make your English like Americans or British, but make your English very clear. That's what you need. And then you can add on the English language, whatever the language you prefer. So that's what I like from my previous experience. English is the most important to have. And then if you have French, that's amazing. If you speak French, you speak to a lot of people in Africa, Middle East, like North Africa. You have Lebanon also in Middle East. They speak French. You have access to Canada, like big part of Canada. I think 20% or 25% of the Canadian land, they speak French because of the Quebec and Montreal or Montreal. So you have really even Latin America. Some Latin American countries, they speak French. I think Guyana. I don't remember the name, but this country, it's French. So if you speak French, that's amazing. You have also in Europe a lot of countries that speak French. Big part of Switzerland. You have France, Luxembourg, Belgium. So you will have an access to really a lot of nationalities and cultures and countries as well. German language is the same. So, but firstly, focus on your English language, make it like, very good, and then you can add on. So that's my, that's what I had from my previous experience.
Gotcha. Just curious, how many languages do you speak?
I speak Arabic, English, and French. So that's what I can speak fluently. So the other I don't count because I don't speak them fluently.
For sure.
French, English, and Arabic.
Yeah, no, that's good. And then there's definitely also a part of a personal development, right? And going through the education and going through all of this, that personal development. Obviously, for you to be able to go from one country to another country, I think there's definitely a lot of sense of etiquette, a lot of sense of discipline, and again, just that personal development. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I think that's huge. Whether you're a student or you're a professional, I think the fact that you create the foundation of personal development, I believe that the minute that you start dying is the minute that you start growing or educating yourself. And while you're educating yourself, regardless of whether it's traditional, non-traditional, while you're educating, even through this podcast, if you're educating yourself, you're growing, right? And so tell me more about that personal development.
Yes. I remember the first time I traveled and I came back and I met my family. They were like, Hossam, you are a different version. It's not the same guy. And I didn't feel it because it was a personal development. You don't feel it. You feel it like, from time to time. Yes, you can measure your skills, but people can really have this perception better when they see you, like, after a specific trip or a specific age or whatever. And traveling abroad or studying abroad, and I think the magic about it is the personal development. Because to be honest, when you travel abroad or you leave your country, you leave your people, your language, your beloved one, your comfort zone, the first thing that you really need to learn is how to be responsible. Because no one is like, no one is cooking for you, no one is cleaning for you. So the first thing is that you learn how to be independent. And when you are an independent person, that's a totally different level. Especially I'm coming from Egyptians in general, or I think it's an Arabic culture. Really, our family, they cuddle us a lot. They spoil us a lot. Usually, you'll always find everything is done by the mother. Very few, and that was not, by the way, in my family. That's one of the things that was in the journey with my family. In a very young age, we had to learn how to cook, how to do the laundry, how to be responsible for our studies. I remember my mother never told me, go and study. Not even my sisters. We were really responsible. We never learned, heard this from my parents. And I think this is what I say about the fundamentals. You really need to put some fundamentals and values in your sons and daughters. So the first thing is to be independent. And when you are independent, you really think differently. When you are alone, you learn how to be sociable because you need community around you. You need to attract people who share the same values to be friends. You need to have your own comfort zone. So you create your comfort zone. And this comes to adaptability because you are adapting to a new culture, new language, a new place. So, it's kind of bit by bit and step by step. It comes to being independent. You learn a new language if you're going to, or you enhance your language. Even if you speak English, when you study abroad, your English level goes, on a different level. You really have an access to what I call the melting pot of friends. when you really meet people from Mexico, from the US, from Germany, from Asia, any Asian countries. And then you find yourself, you are dealing with everyone who are really different from you. So you always learn a lot of skills from those people. You improve your communication skills, you improve your presentation skills. So after just one experience in studying abroad, you become a different person. You are not the same person. I remember before I was really scared to talk to people, and to do presentations or to present or to public speaking in general. And I remember after my first studying abroad experience, I was ready anytime. Oh, go go and talk to people, or you have a presentation. That was very easy for me, and that came thanks to the experience that I had with studying abroad. So studying abroad, when it comes to personal development, it takes your skills up in all levels, really. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh, you did. No, definitely, and that's huge. So let's talk about obviously you've learned a lot. You've not dedicated your time, right, in terms of the international education, and then you now have the company CADC. Tell me more about that.
I as you said, I'm a pharmacist, so I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for a while, and I was even still while I was working, I was always thinking about studying abroad, applying for some programs to go here and there to attend. And then at a certain moment, I was like, okay, a lot of people, they asked me for help, and it worked very well. It started with my family members. All of them, they traveled. Everyone who who sought my help before in their application procedure, they succeeded in the application procedures, and they traveled. And I remember even in my college, some colleagues in college, they asked me to help them for the application, etc. And it worked very well. And I was like, why I'm not, creating a company about that? And then I went to France. I did my Master of Business Administration. And because I'm coming from the pharmacy background, I had no knowledge in business, how to create a business, how to create a company, how to do a business model, the marketing mix, all these kind of things. I never heard about that. And I was like, okay, this is the time. Each session, every time I go to the Sorbonne, to do a class, I was applying this to CADC. So the marketing class, I was doing everything the teacher explains to us. I do it, but on my company, in CADC. The same in the entrepreneurship class, the same in the strategy class, the same in the accounting class, and at the end of the MBA, I had a business model for a company that has everything. And I was ready for that. And then I presented this project into my final project, in the MBA, and the professor loved the idea. And he was like, that's amazing, Hossam, you have experience, you have knowledge, you have really answers to any question they ask. And I think that would be really good business. And then I opened a company. I went to the university in France. It's called Paris Sciences et Lettres for the young entrepreneurs. And I presented my project, and I passed. They accepted my project, and that was again a light, a green light. Okay, that's working very well. And then I started. I was like, that's great. I had the trip to Egypt. There was a fair. The French embassy, the French Institute, they hosted a lot of French universities, and the same was IDP. They hosted universities from the UK, Canada, the US, the English-speaking countries in general. I went there, I presented my project, and I started to get some agreements. The universities, they wanted to sign contracts with me. And then I had partners. So now I have partners with universities in the UK, in France, I have in Germany. I signed last week with American University as well. So CADC, the aim of CADC is called Career and Academic Development Center. So if we divide the name, or we just explain the name, we help students who are interested to enhance their academic level if they want to study abroad, if they want to apply for programs abroad and they don't know how to choose a program. What are the good universities? What are the best fit budget? Because the budget is different from student to another student. What if I need some financial aid? How I could do that? So that's a part about the academic part. We help, if you want to study abroad, we're going to help you from A to Z. We're going to discuss with you how to choose a program, the best fit program, the university, the finance, the system, the educational system, it's different from country to another country. And because we in CADC we traveled in almost like the big countries around, like the most important countries in education and global education, we know the system. So we always we can also explain that to students. And on the other part is the career. We also explain to them how to, when it comes to, oh, I want to study abroad and I want to stay in the country after I finish my master degree as an international student. How are we going to do that? How are we going to change our visa from student to working visa? And this part is related to career. And also we did that. We all, like me and my team members, we stayed abroad. We changed our visas. We had our, titre de séjour or our residencies card. So we also know this procedure. And because we work abroad, we have experience in how you find jobs, the career. We explain about the career office, about the procedure with LinkedIn, about different types on how to find job opportunities for internationals. So that's what we really present. So basically from A to Z, starting an advice from your academic program until your titre de séjour or your residency in the country that you really want to stay in or to live in.
That's huge. I love that. And is this primarily for people that or students that are coming out of high school and going to college?
No, it's for everyone. Actually, we work with students who are interested to study bachelor degree and also the graduate programs. So if they want to apply for a master degree or an MBA degree or even a PhD program, we can advise. So to all students who are interested to study abroad in all, all stages. So, and that's why we have partners with universities, because when we sign a partnership with university, it means we are collaborating. So they give us the access, or they give us the authority to choose the right candidate, the best fit candidate, and we match the best fit candidate with the good qualities with the right program. And that's the trick in the collaboration with universities. We have with really big schools in the mentioned countries. We have with Sketch Business School, Paris School of Business. We have with ISEP Engineering School. In the UK, we have with Queen's University in Belfast. That's a Russell Group. It's a really big university in the UK. And also it's recognized globally. We have with Cologne Business School in Germany. We have with the Romanian American University as well in Romania. So we really choose very well the universities that we are working with and the nature of the collaboration as well, because we want the procedure to be very easy for students. We want the student to feel comfortable, and because the big thing with students is I'm afraid to be rejected. But we make this procedure really good in terms even the interviews, because we work with the university, we know really what they are looking for. So we also help students in their interview procedure. In some countries like France, they have what's called Campus France. After you get accepted into the program in France and before the visa, you have to pass through Campus France. That's also a very challenging procedure, and we help the student with Campus France procedure as well. So we help in all stages of your application procedure until you go and start your academic program. We are there for you.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I think I heard this somewhere that schools abroad or schools anywhere for that matter, they actually like taking exchange students. They like that because there's also a benefit to the universities when they bring students from other countries, right? And so they actually want to fulfill these needs. It's like in the US, right? Like the government will give you, or the federal government will give the national government, a budget, right? Or a fund, right? And you got to be able to utilize it. Like the school district here, they get a fund, and if you don't utilize it, then you're not going to get it next year. So you want to utilize it. You could keep getting that or some sort of that benefit. Is that the same thing for exchange students, where these schools, they want to keep growing that so they can keep getting funding, and it's a benefit to them too?
That's an amazing question. Really, thank you for that question. Because when it comes to exchange program or scholarships, we have two types: people who self-funding, they want to pay, and there is exchange program or the scholarships. And that's always a good question. Why they are funding international students to go abroad? What is the reason to pay all this amount of money to get student every year. And when it comes to that, it really depends on each country, but they have common, like, a common ground, which is called investing in human resources. It's all about investing in the right people and the good people. When it comes to scholarships, they give you all this amount of money because they want in future someone who would be like, who would be a very big scientist, who would be the next, Facebook maker, or, someone who will work in the AI and will have like, a very international impact. And that's what they are looking for. And that's why if you check the Fulbright, for example, it's the most well-known American scholarship. They are super proud of their alumni. And they tell you on the website, this prime minister was a Fulbright alumna or alumnus. This, president of Ghana, he was, this scientist in the nuclear field, he was a Fulbright alumnus. So when it comes to the fund, it's correct. They want people to come from all over the world, and they want to invest in the right people. Some scholarships, they are different. So when it comes to Sweden, for example, Sweden now are leading the world in the application of sustainability, the Sustainable Development Goals. And you will find their scholarship, which is a fully funded scholarship. They only want to attract students who are interested to study fields that are related to sustainability or the 2030 agenda of the United Nations. Why? Because they want leaders in future who would be, this field is new. So Sweden are now like enforcing universities to create new curriculum that is really directly related to sustainability. And they are bringing those international students to study from 40 countries, the Swedish scholarship. From 40 countries, yes, they get students each year to study at the field, like in the field of sustainability, because they want leader in that field. If you check the French scholarship, EIFFEL Excellence, it's clearly stated on their website, we are looking for leaders for future who will work in specific fields. So that's what I always say to internet, like, don't be afraid. People are looking for you. All what you need to do is to enhance yourself. Work on your GPA, work on your language, work on your, like, taking an English test, for example, the IELTS or the TOEFL. Work to be an active member in your society, because that's one of the most important parts, and especially for students who are interested to apply for scholarships, is were you an active member in your community? What did you do for your community? So start to do an extracurricular activity or a volunteering work. It could be in your university. It could be in like in your city. It could be anything. But the most important is to have an impact in your community, even if it's a very small impact. I remember one student, he got accepted into a program, and they asked him for a leadership position. And you cannot imagine how simple the leadership. He said, okay, I was very good in the chemistry class. So and that was very difficult class. And I was teaching to my friends, like to my classmates after school, like the chemistry class. So for them, that's a leadership position. You are influencing in a good way, like, in your community. So it doesn't need to be really huge thing like, oh, I want to, to be a very big leader in your community. No, it could be very simple action. But and that's also one advice from your platform I would like to share. People are really, like, in my TikTok or in my Instagram, a lot of people, they want to study abroad, but they don't invest in themselves. So they send me, oh, I have GPA of 55%, for example, or 2 or 1.8. And they don't want to take an IELTS exam. They don't want like an interview. And I was like, no, the procedure, if you want to study abroad, either on a self-funding or on a scholarship program, you really have to invest in yourself, and you have to really work hard for that. It's not meant for everyone. You really have to have the minimum. I'm also not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to be the top, from the top 5% in your class, because even if you are from the top one, like if you are from the 1%, like the top 1% in your class, but you cannot present yourself, if you cannot handle an interview, how are you gonna pass that? How are you gonna pass? So you really need to be very good in each like pillar. Your GPA should be good GPA. You really need to invest in being, a public speaker, to do presentations. You need to learn languages. You need to have an extracurricular activity. So when the application or the admission officer will look at your application holistically, you will be impressive. And this is the objective.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And again, I just love the whole idea of all of the different benefits and the skills and the things that you learn through this process. And I think that, as you mentioned, is, you got to be good at some of those things. And it may not be for everybody, except that I think that this is a good way for people to really get out and learn more cultures, look at visit different places, and also learn and develop through the process, which I think is huge. If people wanted to find out how they can connect with you and work with you and you can help them out, where can they find you?
We are actually on all the social media platforms. You can always search with CADC, Career and Academic Development Center. We have TikTok, we have the Instagram, we have also a website. I can share all these data with you, so
Yep.
we can put it, on the like on the screen or in the
Yep.
description in the podcast. But we have also the link at the end. So whenever they will check CADC or Career and Academic Development Center in each platform or any platform, they will find us.
Got it. Awesome. So I'm curious to, obviously, will you going through all of this? I want to know what kind of habits have you developed? What are things that you do? Like, and you've maybe you started doing during or after going through these experiences, but do you have any specific habits that you do every day to kind of keep you in a positive state of mind or keep you going every day?
No, and this is because, when I was a bit younger, I was trying to read about, the best habit for successful people, or, what you need to do if you want to be successful. And after like a while, I was like, no, that's not how it works. Each person is different. You make your own habits or your own way. For me, I don't have any habits, and I
Hmm.
don't follow any regime in terms of my habits. It's all about the passion. And this is what I always, people think, okay, you have your passion, Hossam, or you are so excited about something, or you are just a hard worker. And I was like, no, it's not about that. It's about the target, because passion could go, up and down.
Hmm.
It, it's never the same.
Right.
Your patience, your excitement, it's never the same. And whatever books or whatever regime you will follow, it will never change this, because this is your psychology, your psychological aspects inside your body. And I always say, okay, I have a target, I want to reach there, and this is always my kind of the fuel.
Hmm.
So even sometimes when my passion goes down, I like, I have this aim, I have this target, I have to follow that. So this is always the fuel, is what you really want to do and the impact you want to do in the world. About the habits, or no, when I feel tired, I stop working. When I feel I need to have a vacation, instantly I go and book a trip, or a book, like to go somewhere, or to visit my brother, or to go to my sister, just to decompress. And that's how I regain my energy again. So my only advice is just to really follow what you think about yourself, and follow your body. That's what I always say. I don't, sometimes people say, oh, you have to wake up very early to work, and I was like, no, that's not. I work when I have energy. I work when I have the full power. This could be afternoon, this could be in the evening, this could be in early morning. But if you make it as a habit, it will be very boring. And for sure, that's my personal experience.
No, that's cool. And what I like about it, though, at least, is the fact that you talked about, well, what is that passion or that purpose? You kind of mentioned that too, and then creating a target. What is that target, right? And I think that's huge, because a lot of times, it'll be, I think, where it becomes a waste of time for people, for your people. And I always tell people that the biggest asset that we have, one of the biggest assets that we have that came to us at no extra cost, is the time, right? And time goes by, and whether we're mad, happy, sad, whatever might be going on, that 30 seconds that just passed, that's it. We're not getting that back ever again, right? And so definitely, at least you got to be intentional. And at least I do like the fact that you're intentional on the fact that if you want to, book a vacation, you're gonna do it. And I actually agreed on that too. I always tell people that, a lot of people wait until they retire to go someplace, and I said, no, how about you take a mini vacation right now? Whatever that might be. As you mentioned, if that means go to my brothers or my sisters or my parents or my, do that, decompress, or hey, book a a weekend getaway in a nearby town, like whatever that might be. Just make
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
happen, because I think that's huge. That's the first thing. The
Cool.
second thing I like that you mentioned is the fact that you want to be able to look at what is that target, what is that I want to be, or I want to get to, and then start accomplishing that. Because if you don't do that, then you're just letting time go by, and you have
Yes.
no targets, you have no habits, you have nothing. Then you really,
Exactly.
what are you doing, right?
And you won't follow anything. You will always change your your priorities.
Right.
Because if your passion goes down, you're going to stop that, you're going to find something else. And that's I'm always say it's all about really the focus on your target. So that's and one thing about studying abroad is the mobility. And that's
Mm.
why I'm telling you, when I feel like, oh, I want to change the mood, if I'm in France, I book a train, 2 hours, I'm in Switzerland.
Yeah.
I book a flight, I want to see, like, sun and sea. Just, 2 hours flight to in Malta.
Yeah.
I want some history, or, some like a medieval city. I check, like, it happened with me one time, and I find Bruges in Belgium. And I went there, just to decompress. And this is one of the things about studying abroad as well, is how you are really having access to a lot of countries with just one residency or carte titre de séjour. You will be able to explore the world even for a day or even for a few hours.
Mm.
So that's also one of the things that I like about studying abroad.
Yeah, no, I definitely love that. Well, Hassam, this was definitely very helpful, and I really enjoyed the topic. So thank you for sharing everything that you had to share. Anything else you want to say? Any last words of wisdom before I let you go?
Thank you so much. It was fantastic to be here and to talk to you. It's amazing. I really had a great time. Maybe I just finalized my like interview with you for students, for parents. You really need to have at least one study abroad experience in your lifetime. This is a life-changing experience. It will enhance everything in your life. It will enhance your academic level. It will enhance your personality. It will give you a lot of access to things in the world that you would never expect in your comfort zone. Like if you are surrounded by your community, the people who share the same language, same culture. That's why I always advise people to study abroad at least one time in their lives. And yeah, and thanks for being here. I really had a great time. Thank you so much.
No, definitely, Hassam. That was great, and definitely, guys, one you got to do this at least one time in your life. And do me a favor, definitely, this was a great interview. So please make sure that you share this interview because somebody definitely needs to hear this message. And I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm CesarRespino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.